Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Absent Minded Podcast. We were talking earlier. We don't know what episode this is. It could be 20. It could be 30. It could be... Actually, it's just episode 3. It's episode 3 of the Absent Minded Podcast. Yeah. My name is Travis Stockton. I will be hosting this show today. Alongside me, I have the prettiest boy in the room, Andrew Crandell.
Oh, man. Really? Did you really get distracted by these blue eyes over here?
I did. That's why it took me so long to get started. I was trying to get in the flow. Ethan's giggling, and I'm just trapped in those starry eyes.
I just got some really good news, actually.
Oh, who is this? Who is this person who just started talking?
Hello. Hi.
My good friend, Ethan Newbolt, is joining us as well today.
Thanks. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Hope you're all in good health. Doing well.
I hope you're all dying slowly like the rest of us.
Life is a pain.
We're all dying. Yeah.
I wish that didn't, just like fumble out of my mouth.
Dropped the ball.
Dude, I totally did. I just I was at like the 99-yard line and I was just like, boop.
The 99-yard
That's right
line.
there, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's we call that a Texans play when you drop the ball at 99-yard line. Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting episode.
It's going to be a great episode.
Kind of light on the news today. There's really not a whole lot happening. It's that Fallout for B3. Like all the big stuff has already happened.
Yeah, man. You guys get into that Fallout Battle Royale?
No, I saw there's another video about it. Is it out? Is it actually out already?
I think it's out because Moist Critical was playing it.
Something.
Yeah. That's right. Because they said they were doing a free.
Ring of fire.
You can play it free for the week or something, and that makes sense. They did say that at E3 during that boring E3 conference from Bethesda.
Burns.
This was interesting.
Wait, are we getting copyright for that? Shit.
No, as long as you're not giving the song its due respect, so it shouldn't get picked up. Shouldn't get picked up by any content.
Almost indistinguishable from the real thing.
Yeah, I think that's a clause in the contract.
When we play that back, you're gonna be like, "Holy crap!"
Told Drew to
was
keep
so
the
and
Alexa
so
off
actually
when we're recording.
Here?
So the first thing I just want to drop in.
Stop.
We got an interview with whoever gave the interview. I didn't read the interview. I just know from Pokemon Sword and Shield. I think it was the game director or something like that. They talked about the whole thing where this will be the first generation of Pokemon games, like the mainline series, where you cannot catch them all. The Pokedex is not full. You have a limited number of Pokemon that are in the Galar
region. So yeah, I think there's an R in
that
it.
Region. So if it's Pokemon that are not in the region, you don't get your full Pokedex. You can't transfer a bunch of Pokemon from your other games and stuff like that. It is a limited number. They claimed in the interview that it was because of...
it's only in the Galar region, like Black and White did, and what is that, Ruby and Sapphire?
It's just whatever Pokemon are native to that region.
The newest region, that's all there is.
Yeah.
I mean...
You're not getting the whole, 800, 900 Pokemon.
I like that, though.
This makes me think DLC.
Sometimes it's more focused when they only focus on the new... How many is it? Is it 150?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I don't look into these
I
things
assume
anymore.
it's no
Except
less.
When I heard it, I stopped caring because some of my favorite Pokemon are from the earlier gens.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure the popular ones will be in there still.
We've had that forever. It's time to kind of,
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that didn't play those games.
That's
like
true.
me.
Like I said, they did this with Black and White and Ruby and Sapphire where they put out a new generation and they were like, okay, we're going to focus on this one.
You could still transfer any Pokemon from the previous generations into that game, though.
Yeah, but
that's what I'm saying. They're locking that out.
I heard
after the big update that they talked about with the whole Pokemon Home thing and the Pokemon Bank, because they had said that when those things launched, that part of the reason for that was, okay, here now we're going to have a place to store all of these Pokemon. Like you could technically go back to your fucking Game Boy Color Pokemon Red version if you had an Advance and then an Advance to a DS and then a DS to a 3DS or whatever, and you could transfer Pokemon from those old fucking games and have carried them all the way through. And then Pokemon Bank was supposed to be the digital cloud storage solution to that, where once you've done that, now you don't have to worry about it anymore. Your Pokemon will always be able to go with you to these new games, except just kidding, not for this like new game. So it's just another thing where it just seems like, it feels like a lot of people aren't talking to each other. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there were some decisions being made where different teams and locked away in different rooms working in a vacuum, and then they come out and they're like, oh, well, we didn't know that you said there was going to be a Pokemon Bank. We didn't know that was happening.
I don't know, but why wouldn't they talk to each other? Don't you feel like that they would have like some sort of general meeting?
It's the same reason that when Anthem was being developed at BioWare, they said they didn't look at all the other games, the service games, because they made a lot of terrible mistakes.
It's true. Yeah.
When all they had to do was look at Destiny 1 and be like, okay, don't launch it like that. Or look at the Division 1 and be like, oh, okay, well, let's make sure our game's good day one and we don't have to like do everything
repolish
2.0
exactly.
like a year and a half down the line. but they fell into the same pitfalls because they specifically developed the game again in a vacuum. They didn't look at what was going around them. But the whole issue with Pokemon just seems, again, counterintuitive. And like, I got so excited when they were talking about Pokemon Home and the Pokemon Bank, and then now they tell me this, and I'm like, well, I was kind of looking forward to jumping into this series for the first time in years and seeing all these it's all new to me, as they say, and I'm gonna miss out on all those Pokemon now, and now I just almost kind of don't care because.
Yeah, I get that. I feel the same way.
I have. Which generation are you talking about specifically that you want to see?
I didn't play X and Y. Okay. I didn't play Sun and Moon.
So for that, I don't really have a concern. Or I
didn't play Ruby and Sapphire. Like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I bailed out at Ruby and Sapphire.
Those are big generations of games. Like I didn't touch those. And as they go, obviously, eventually they're going to run out of animals that they can change, add a type to or whatever.
Never.
No, they already showed some animals that were like one of them that's it looks like a Bulbasaur, but he's just a water.
I mean, that's fine. They've already repeated a bunch of different. How many birds? They'll run out of birds eventually, but they've already done like.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
birds.
So we're already getting to this point where I don't want to say they're creatively bankrupt, but they're going to be running out of ideas, and I want to see some of the other ones.
But don't
from
you think
that's
their whole point of them focusing on these new ideas specifically that they have?
I don't know if that's the point. Well, we haven't seen.
That's
those
why
Pokemon
I'm
yet.
actually excited more now, knowing that they're focusing on this new generation as differently. Instead of going back and being like, "Hey, look what we did," now it's like, "Hey, look at what we've done." Yeah, that works.
I'm sure that sounded good in your head.
Yeah,
I don't know. I see what you're saying. I might still find it interesting. It was just one of those things where it made me sad to read that. It seemed like it didn't make sense compared to the other announcements they had made.
Yeah, I don't know. Dynamax does make me feel like that they are running out of ideas. Because
I agree.
But your Pokemon's really 100%
big Pokemon.
Big Pokemon.
Right.
Fucking no.
I don't know.
Mega Evolutions, so cool.
What were Mega Evolutions?
It was so the material that you had to use to activate the Mega Evolution was dumb. It was like the Z move bracelet. You basically found like a Mega Evolution item in the world that was relative to the specific Pokemon at its final evolution stage. In battle, you could Mega Evolve it once. It was completely overpowered. It was your ace in the hole. It got you out of basically any situation if you were fucked.
Okay.
But it was awesome. Like your favorite Pokemons of almost the generations that were out got a Mega Evolution, and they were dope. Like Beedrill, one of the first generation Pokemons, kind of overlooked. Not the most. It's a
Beedrill had its fans.
Bumblebee.
I mean, like
it's a big Bumblebee, but he got a cool Mega Evolution, and it Gyarados, a very crowd favorite, he also got one. So it's the lesser and the popular ones got one too. But out of all the gimmicks that they've done, it was my favorite, and I thought it was the coolest.
Okay,
yeah.
So going back to
Dynamax,
Sword and Shield. Whenever I was watching the Treehouse and they were doing like the Team Dynamax battle to fight the wild Pokemon, it took. Every step just took so fucking long, and I know the game's still in alpha or beta or whatever the fuck it is.
No, Pokemon,
it's just in development.
Sword and Shield?
They don't have betas or alphas or anything like that.
Sword and Shield, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Doesn't it come out this year?
Yeah. Sorry, I just didn't know the correct terminology. So
that was the thing we were talking about with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. They were claiming that the gameplay demo that they had on stage was alpha, and that one comes out in September.
I'd rather play Skywalker Saga.
But
that actually looks kind of cool. I'm sort of excited about that. I'm not gonna lie, I do have a soft spot for the Lego games.
Is that like a new Lego game?
Yeah, it's one they're remaking. It's every episode from episode 1 all the way to episode 9.
So it is not a remake. It is a new.
Well, a remake in that they did an original trilogy Lego game.
They've already done it once.
Yeah, they did the Force Awakens Lego game.
Apparently this is going to be a new type of game. It's going to be more like story RPG.
Are they actually going to have words or?
Apparently it's voice acted.
I don't need them to have words. They can do.
I think the other ones were voice acted. It's not
usually
usually
they
the same
made like kind of like
actors.
sim noises where they were just like.
I'm okay with sim noises.
Well, they have sometimes I think,
whatever.
but I think they were actually actual voice acted cutscenes for
Either
at
way,
least for
I don't care.
the last big.
As long as the Legos are authentic.
Yeah,
it's not boring. Mega blocks.
Oh yeah, but I just wanted to finish my statement on the Pokemon thing. It's just like whenever I was watching that Treehouse, like even though all the players were like sitting on the same couch, say like one person wanted to use their Dynamax thing, it took like, I swear to God, 30 to 45 seconds before like the move initiated and like the animation took effect. And it was just so fucking slow. And it's just like, I feel like that, like again, they're out of ideas. and it's just like an unnecessary step. It's like unless they get like those server issues fixed, it's going to be a nightmare on launch. With people trying to play with each other.
Oh, it's a Nintendo game that's going to be online. I guarantee it's going to be a nightmare at launch.
Yeah, exactly. Like whenever Smash came out, people were hating on the servers. It was like months before they got them really fixed.
Yeah, well, they only get $20 every year from it, man.
And you're talking about the online thing where it's like you had to group with people to like fight the raid boss kind of deal. Basically a Pokemon Go gimmick that they put in the game to force multiplayer onto people.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So the other little piece of news I saw today was just a little update on Destiny 2. It is back to over 1 million active users every day now.
Oh, good for it. Well, now that it's free.
No, it's not free yet. That doesn't happen until Shadowkeep comes out in September. I think it's September. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. It had a bit of a slump. I think the last thing that we saw was it had over 6 million active users monthly. That was something that Bungie announced when they announced the news that they were splitting up from Activision.
Really? 6 million?
6 million monthly.
Oh, okay.
So now they have 1 million active users daily.
Yeah.
That's a good average to be hitting. It's good to see that they're bringing new people in. I think this was because Season of Opulence just started as another part of the annual pass that they're doing. So new content that's out there and a new raid got launched.
Right.
Just thought that was neat. I'm glad that game's doing well. I want to keep playing it, but it's so hard.
Whenever it goes free, I guess I'll jump back into it. I'll give it another shot.
I'm very excited to play the PC version.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely hop on PC with you if that's where you want to go play for sure.
That's where I'll be doing it. And then again, what'll be so cool for you is that...
Can't we play together if we're on
Yeah.
Are they doing crossplay?
The crossplay, no. You don't have a PC. It's all cross-save. It's not cross-play right now. They want to do cross-play, but basically what it means is I can upload my PS4 save
to your PC,
log onto the PC version, and then with Drew, since you'd be playing the free version, the Last Light or whatever, you can technically carry over the trial because you did the free weekend, I think. Or no, I just did PS Plus, right?
I did PS Plus, yeah.
So if you want to, you could carry that one over, or you could just start a new character. And the way that Last Light works is that you'll be able to start up. You'll see the same creation of your guardian, the way it was in Destiny 1. Where you wake up in the Cosmodrome, and then you'll be able to immediately. I can't think of the guy's name, Mark Smith or something. The director, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name right now. He was saying that basically within 30 minutes of creating a new character, you could be running Shadowkeep content with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how loose you are not tied into anything at that point. Of course, that would be, you'd have to pay for Shadowkeep.
Right.
But you wouldn't have to do you wouldn't have to feel like, to get leveled up and get ready to go, you have to do the whole Destiny 2 campaign or anything.
I wouldn't have to
you'd have to have 8 hours of gameplay solo or make me replay the same content with you.
Okay.
We'd be able to get right in. You could go to the moon and we could do quests on there and
nice.
And that kind of thing. So they're making it very easy to get people back in.
That's good.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
The new Joker movie that's coming out with
it's
by Todd
rated
Phillips
R
with Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, it's the Joker. It's gonna be rated R. So cool. That's gonna.
Just a shout out to Maximilian Dude. His latest video talking about playing Final Fantasy VII behind closed doors is really good. I would say fast forward to about 10 minutes in. He gets to meet the creators and the developers, and it's just a really good story and talk about motivation and stuff. So go check that video out.
Don't watch that one. Go watch the Easy Allies interview where he talks to Yoshi P and they ask him if he would ever consider re-releasing 1.0 like they did with WoW Classic.
No, don't go watch that one. Go watch this one. I don't have one.
But yeah, that's all I got for news.
Yeah, me too.
It was a slow week. You didn't have anything for news, okay?
Yeah, I just thought I'd take half credit.
You just said, hey, this one YouTube video got uploaded.
He was like, it was a good YouTube video on the side of your sandwich.
Oh man, speaking of pickles, dude, I forgot how good Jimmy John's pickles are, dude.
I don't think I've ever had them.
I got a big Italian the other day, and I ordered it online because I never think to ask for it when I'm in the store. You're looking up and you order
they put a space. They put a pickle. They attach a pickle spear to the side of your.
This is like when you made fun of me when we were at Taco Bell and I did the mobile ordering while I was standing in the restaurant because I was like, it's just easier for me to see all of my options and how customized I can get it.
As a person who's on the other side of that counter watching people come in,
hey, he respected the game.
And stand there and mobile order, but still look like they want assistance. It's annoying.
Hey, you never know if I'm going to need to ask. I want you there. So
exactly, that's the point. You want a mobile order, but you also want personal assistance.
Yeah. So why aren't you mad at Shake Shack? You could order yourself, or you could go up and talk to the people.
Yeah, they give you a choice. You're not both. I mean, I guess you're right. It's pretty much the same thing. but I don't work there, and they're seeming pretty much.
I think you just hate everyone that comes into Starbucks, whether or not they're a mobile ordering.
Yeah, I do.
Or if they speak to you at all. Like you could be talking to the guy in the drive-through lane. You're still mad at the person who's ordering the cheese puffs or whatever, or the moon cheese. I love that moon cheese. Anyway, Jimmy John's pickles. So the thing I was talking about, I got the big Italian the other day, but I ordered it online for pickup because it was the day I was going to come over to watch John Wick with you.
Big tangent.
And this is not a tangent. This is just a story. We're still in the beginning. We're in housekeeping. Okay, we got one big topic and I want to talk about Jimmy John's pickles before
okay,
that.
please.
And so
they're not even. What about Lenny's pickles? Remember those big slices?
God, Lenny's is one of those places.
Is that one of their Chicago places?
I think about huge. No, Lenny's is here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's it's just another sandwich shop franchise. Lenny's is one of those places where I don't think about it until I'm eating something else, and I'm like, oh fuck, Lenny's would do it again.
They're far and few between now. There's less and less of them.
Yeah, they're just far enough, like in a direction on a road that I don't go down enough. That like it's just like out of my brain.
There's a Jimmy John's like every couple of.
Yeah, the one by us is like right on 2920.
There's a Jimmy John that delivers here, and it upsets me.
The one near me is literally 5 minutes away. They don't deliver to me.
It's crazy, right? Whenever Chris and I were living together,
so here's the thing:
there was one down the street. It would do the same thing.
I read about why that is. So what happens is when they're picking locations,
too convenient.
No, when they're picking locations to open a store, they literally have the person who is going to be the owner of that particular franchise, either them or someone who works under them. Anyway, they draw out their delivery radius by literally driving down the road. They get 5 minutes down and then they turn around and they make sure that they can get back within 6 minutes from that place that they turned around at 5. And if they can't get anything outside of that radius,
what's their slogan?
They won't deliver to.
Freaky fast.
Freaky fast.
So if you happen to be in a spot that maybe sometimes, you can get down that road in 3 minutes, but if it's traffic on a normal afternoon, it might be 6 to 7 or something. Right. They won't do it.
You're right.
So they go at like like their typical delivery hours, especially like dinner time and stuff. Because again, they can't tell you, oh, well, we can deliver to you, we think, between like noon and 2. But come rush hour, like we're not gonna be able to do it. Like they can't do it that way. They have to go like, okay, if rush hour, can I get from A to B and then back in under 10 minutes? And if they can't, they're like, okay, you're outside our delivery radius. So, I think for me, it's because it's a straight shot down 2920 and the traffic can just be fucked sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
With all the people coming off of 45 that they just won't do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But it is fast enough that I can just go pick it up, which is what I ended up doing this last time. And
their business
and again,
model.
So I ordered it online. Remembered they had these dope ass fucking pickles.
So they're spears?
I think they offer spears, but you have to request it be cut. But this was when I was actually kind of mad because they just gave me the whole pickle. They didn't cut it for me.
Oh, okay.
You do have to specify.
Yeah, I went home. I have knives.
Yeah, but
I have a stocked kitchen full of utilities and equipment.
Yeah, but it's just the convenience of it.
Exactly, and I feel like they would have cut it better. They're professional pickle cutters.
They don't.
I cut it. One was like way too big than the other.
So you've got like the cut in it, but you like go to pull it apart and it's still like together, and you're like,
just sharpen your knives, Jimmy John's. Come on.
No, they shouldn't hurry.
Yeah, but that was a good fucking pickle. I'm telling you right now. I'm not even really a pickle guy. I know there's people out there that live by the pickle. You were giving me shit when
we were at St. Arnold's not eating the pickles.
So that's different. I mean, a pickle guy is in the people that will like my sister is a pickle girl.
Oh, okay.
She will sit down with an unopened jar of pickles and just
munch
eat the
down.
entire fucking jar of pickles during like an episode of whatever TV show she's watching. Like she can destroy a pickle jar. Kaylee,
is she a big pickle person?
She loves pickles. She's all into the dill pickles, and then also she's the first person that ever told me what a pickleback was. So a pickleback when you chase a shot of whiskey with a shot of pickle juice. Oh my god, it's fucking horrible.
Get the context.
I would never do that. Come on,
pickleback.
I don't know. We used to do this whenever I lived in Huntsville. I worked at this place, and we served a pickle shot, and it was pickle juice, vodka, and then it had a pickle at the bottom. They weren't bad.
Wait, was it pickle juice vodka or was it like pickle juice and vodka?
Pickle juice and vodka.
That was a comma. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's a spoken comma.
To make sure. I was like, you guys got pickle flavored vodka?
There's a market.
Would not be surprised.
There is a market for that somewhere.
I mean, like all those nasty, like sweet, like whipped cream and like cherry and berry.
Sounds like they'd have something at like Stat Sports Bar where they just have a jar of like pickle brine and like boiled eggs in it. Mm-hmm. But then it's also like half vodka. So you just like get yourself a boozed up boiled egg and pour yourself a glass of pickle juice vodka.
Boozed up.
That just seems like something they would have up there.
Pickle egg.
Yeah, I think that's about as far as we're going to get into our pickle talk today. So that'll be it, guys. Tune in next week again for the next episode of the Pickle Time podcast.
Jeez.
And we'll see you later, guys.
Hashtag pickle power.
Hashtag pickle power. No, we're actually not going anywhere. And this is
sounded
actually
like a real outro.
This is actually
really sad.
the absent-minded podcast. I gotcha. Ethan,
Psych.
are you ready to talk for 4.5 hours about the Soulsborne games?
I could, if that was the assignment. I could.
We got time.
Let's get ready, man.
Drew's been diving deep. He knows that there is no end.
Actually,
to
never mind.
the
You know what?
extensive-
This is a Drew segment now. Drew, tell me everything you learned about Dark Souls today.
It's probably a lot. Actually.
Basically, the world starts out where it's gray.
Oh
and
no! He's
undying.
gonna ruin it. No, end of segment. End of segment.
Blew it. You already ruined it. No,
There's dragons.
No,
there are dragons.
This is not happening like
I have
this.
seen a dragon
I
in a
will
Dark
not
Souls game.
Thank
Let
you,
it.
Travis.
There are dragons.
Thank you.
I vouch
Fucking
for the
Ethan over
dragons.
here trying to burn me at the start.
They are.
I said bury.
Everlasting dragons.
Did I show you the
I was
clip?
gonna get to that.
First of all,
Did
you
I
just
show
cut me
you-
off. You made me sound like an
First
asshole
of
right off at the
all-
start.
Drew,
I'm yelling.
did I
I'm
show
sorry.
you the clip from Game of Thrones where they edited it because it's one of Daenerys' dragons is like sleeping and it's covered in ash and snow and stuff.
Uh-huh.
you showed
and,
me this.
And they cut and like it's one where John's walking up to like the castle and then you don't see the dragon. It's just like this pile of things, and then the dragon like gets up and like then you're like, oh my! It was one of the cooler visual effects and scenes in that terrible season. Well, someone edited it together with the Dark Souls UI on it, and then played like the music that plays when I guess you start a boss fight or something.
awesome. It's amazing.
It was really cool, really well done. Anyway, Dark Souls. What's up?
Yeah. So the big
What
segment
is Dark
of this
Souls?
week is Dark Souls, the Soulsborne series of my namesake, Sekiro, and the future, which will lead us into the Elden Ring, which could not be more exciting if you actually look into it. But no, I am the Dark Souls person of the group. I love these games. I actually didn't realize my whole extent with the games until I looked at my trophy timeline and actually realized how ham I actually went on this shit.
I love the
How many
trophies,
hours? Like, can I take a guess at how many hours you have?
I could not tell you how many hours, but I know my playthroughs. Some of my playthroughs were 60 hours long.
Yeah, so I was gonna say you probably played like 300, 400 hours.
I know one of my playthroughs that was like
across the series.
yeah.
one of the playthroughs that I did was like the longest one where I kept it going and just kept doing shit, and it was 120 hours. So I mean, yeah, there's through
That's
What?
a Yakuza game,
through
man.
4 endings.
Yeah, there isn't Persona like that, or is it Persona like 60?
My Persona 5 platinum save was around 115 hours, I think.
Yeah, so through like 3 games, I mean, 4 endings about for each game. Yeah, there's probably about 400 out, probably more.
And which ones do you have the platinum for? Just Bloodborne
Just
still?
Bloodborne for the platinum. Just because some of the other Dark Souls ones, they require a lot of new game plus to get certain things that I just
So can you platinum Bloodborne in like one playthrough? No.
at minimum. I mean, depending on how
Well, you just said because like with the
be,
other Dark Souls stuff, you got worried
I
about
like
like
to
the
get
new game
real
plus.
save scummy
then
in
you
the
could
efforts to get a
probably-
platinum trophy.
Probably like 2, I think, is
Right.
the minimum. Maybe
Okay.
I'd have to look at that. I did mine in the standard 4.
How you come in with Sekiro? You think you're
Sekiro
gonna get the
is
platinum for
probably
that
going to
one?
be the next one. Yeah,
Nice.
It's slow. There's a lot of grinding with getting all the skills and abilities.
Is it really grinding if you're enjoying the gameplay though?
At a certain point, there is.
Yeah. Does it really? Because I know obviously depends on who you are and what the game is.
I guess let's dive in deep to this. And this is Ethan. This is Soulsbjorn's life into Dark Souls, and I have a lot of stuff written down, and it's probably going to be a little jumbled because some of it I read over, and
Those pages look dense.
yeah, I'm a writer, and I mean that literally because this is much easier for me to write out than if I ever wrote a book, it would have to be I'd have to have I would have to have somebody like
Dictated.
yeah,
You walking
dictated,
around-
not read. My first taste of Dark Souls probably was with Dark Souls 2 in January 2016. And this is all dated with my trophy list, so these are all correct and to the point. I literally didn't stop playing this game until, let's see.
Because that was when you got your PS4. Because I used to make fun of you where I was like, hey, this game came out. Are you going to play it?
Yeah.
I'm still playing Dark Souls 2, bro.
I think Dark Souls, The Scholar of the First Sin was free that month for PlayStation Network, and I didn't have many games. I think I had just that, and I had the Nathan Drake collection that came with it, and I had gone through it already, and I wanted something new. And I was watching Game of Thrones at the time. I remember I was getting into Game of Thrones. This fit
so
perfectly.
Tonally, it's like ooh,
the European
medieval
sword,
art styles,
shield,
and,
magic,
kind of
dragons.
fantasy.
It was perfect. I felt like I was in the show when I was playing Dark Souls 2. It was great. And
I remember this really fucked up part of Westeros where you're trying to get back to all the
and,
cities and
you
stuff.
just everybody keeps dying and coming
demons
back
and shit.
But I literally did not stop playing Dark Souls 2 for like 3 months until I beat it. It had been out for a little while. Like I said, it was free for the PlayStation Network.
It had been more than 3 months. Is that what the trophies say?
That it took me to beat it.
Oh, okay.
That was how long it took me to beat it. And that's including the
But you kept playing
DLCs.
it even
Every day after
afterwards.
after I got off work, the first thing I did, hit that PlayStation button on my controller, started it up, went to the bathroom, came back, just fucking. Caitlin can attune it. I would get mad. There were times when I had some good times, and there were times when I got angry. Dark Souls 2 is considered the black sheep, the lesser of the Souls series. And there's a reason for that. Miyazaki was not necessarily a part of that development. He was a supervisor, but he was not
a game lead.
Was he kind of like the Akira Toriyama thing where it's like he had some high level
like
character designs or like
there,
decisions
and he had
of
input,
the world and the
but
tone?
At the end of the day, it was directed by Tomohiro Shibuya and Yue Tanamura.
So have you looked into any of like the development like story, like any interviews or are there like an actual like documentary? Because I know that's kind of uncommon to have that like first
you have to look into
Japanese
it, but there are
studios.
interviews, there are statements made by Miyazaki himself and both of the directors of Dark Souls 2 where you can create a story if you put everything together.
Yeah.
But you do have to do a little bit of work. I don't know if there's actually like a full
It's just a game
documentary.
that feels like it had to have had like some crunch and just they didn't have nearly enough time to
There was
polish
a lot
it up the way
and I'm sure
they
if
would have
you
other
look
games.
up the Vadi video has probably one that's
Oh yeah,
probably. But so like the best part about Dark Souls 2 I remember was being the dark, the secretive, the danger, just everything in that world wants to kill you, everything wants you dead.
the spoopiness.
The spoopies. I love the spoopies. So I finished Dark Souls 2 like I said about 3 months later, and that includes the DLCs, the
How many
crowns.
DLCs were there?
3. There are 3 DLCs.
Well, you said 3
they are
DLC.
considered just brutal, and I remember them being a challenge compared to the base game. Yeah, and I did play Scholar.
What made
the
them so
first-
hard?
I don't really know. It just
They were
felt
just generally difficult.
it just felt like, well, the Ice Crown place, there was a lot of gimmicks that was not the best place. I remember the iron stuff. The Iron King.
So was it
being really
Ice Town?
cool.
So were you slipping a lot?
No, nothing slippy like that.
Okay.
Like there's just this one with there's a lot of ice fog and you can't see anything. It's just.
Okay.
It
Did you have any
feels-
like falling icicles or anything like that?
Nothing
No.
like that.
Okay, so just hard to see.
Yeah, the DLCs of that game are considered just kind of annoying.
Right.
But I did play the Scholar the First Sin edition, so it's technically a little bit of a different edition than the first Dark Souls 2 that came out. I believe it's a little more polished, a little more kept up or updated. I'm not sure how you want to put it. But there was like new things that were added, gimmicks that made it a little bit different. Enemies were moved around and items I think were changed. I finished Dark Souls 2. I was happy that I finished it. I remember I think I had trouble with one of the DLC bosses. I never went back and finished it. But there was no trophy for it, so whatever. I finished Dark Souls 2 my own way, and I wanted more. I craved more, and I got more when I started Bloodborne 6 days later. I don't remember if it was a countdown to Bloodborne that I was waiting for it, or if I just put the 2 and 2 together that Bloodborne was the next natural.
You probably popped that trophy pretty early on after starting it. You could probably do the math there.
Oh yeah, no, they're like months. They're like I said, 6 days after each other is the trophy difference.
Oh, gotcha,
Yes.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So the first trophy from Bloodborne is 6 days after the last trophy I got from Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
The Bloodborne I have the platinum for. So that's my favorite of the Dark Souls series. It's on, I have a tattoo on my arm. It's just got the coolest,
One of his better tattoos, I'll tell you.
it's got the coolest like locations. The enemies are, very H.P. Lovecraft, very eldritch truth, and
That's the part of that game that always I wish I could play more of it. I could if I put the time in.
yeah,
but I
and the
love that's definitely got
DLCs
the best atmosphere.
The DLCs of that are the Old Hunters is probably my favorite DLC ever put to anything ever. It's so good. It's got connections to great novels and influences from other places that are my favorite too. Berserk being one in particular. It's just
What's
Bloodborne
Berserk?
is awesome. Berserk? What really?
That's a very brutal anime.
That's a
and
whole
manga.
nother episode.
Manga.
It's
one of those two.
It's really bloody. It's there's some controversial scenes in there that some people don't really like.
So the DLC for that one, because if I recall correctly, did you beat the game before the DLC and then because I thought there was some mix up where you had to do New Game Plus to get to the DLC the first time.
No.
Because I thought you had already beaten.
You do
it
have
or
to get to a
something.
certain point, but the DLC and for
Like
Bloodborne,
if you finish the game, if you finish Bloodborne proper, you can't go into.
If you had already gone
DLC.
into like New Game Plus for the first time and you hadn't jumped into the DLC, you had to go a certain point into your New Game Plus before you could get to the DLC.
Oh, okay.
But it's not super long into it.
Yeah.
So, from the first playthrough, if you're not in New Game Plus, you can go relatively early if you know what to do. But it's bad. It's hard. So compared to the regular game, it's considered pretty difficult if you're not to a certain point or at a certain skill level. I have a lot to say about Bloodborne. It's a great game. I've multiple endings. They're all great. It's all great. I don't know if I played a game between Bloodborne and 3. My trophy list says that I did not.
What about a Dark Souls Remastered? I remember you had some trouble with that one. Did you ever finish Dark Souls 1?
No. Not to date. But that's the last thing I have to touch on.
Fake
Stuck in
ass
Blighttown,
Souls
man.
Bjorn motherfucker.
I have working playthroughs in that one currently. So Dark Souls 3 came out April 12th, 2016, and this is after Bloodborne. I finished Bloodborne in April of 2016. Literally.
Bloodborne 2 win.
Yeah, Bloodborne 2 win, right. I did finish Bloodborne, let's see, and I wouldn't revisit the game until a full year later when I returned to get the Platinum Trophy. There was one thing I missed when I was collecting, I think, the weapons or the hunter tools, and it literally
And that was your first
me-
Platinum Trophy,
yeah,
right?
So it locked me out of the Platinum, so I had to return later.
Far more respectful than any of my Platinums, I'm not going to lie.
But I literally returned a full year later from April to April, the same month for some reason. I don't know why I came back at that exact time, but
It was just calling your name.
April 2016 is when I beat the game, got all the ending trophies minus this one that I had missed. Not an ending, just a trophy specifically. And for some reason, I came back literally April 2017 and got the Platinum.
Yeah.
I guess probably it had to do with you probably bugging me about Platinum.
I'm sure I did. It's funny too, because I did the same thing with Persona 5 where it's like I had started it. I think it was Persona 5 and I started it and then I literally it was like, I think a full year later where I picked it back up and I was like, ooh, now I'm in the mood for this again. But of course as usual, I had to start it from the very beginning and then one trophy away from the Platinum in that one. I'll get it sometime. Maybe in a year from the last time I started up again.
So I stopped playing Bloodborne on April 12th at 4:38 p.m. And these are all times for my trophy list. And I literally started Dark Souls 3 at 6:30 p.m. the same day and started getting trophies for that one. Yeah. I completed Bloodborne, got the last ending trophy that day, and then switched to playing Dark Souls 3 because it came out that day.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was
Is that when you have digitally? Like, did you pre-order it on PSN?
So it had unlocked I guess that day. I don't know if I timed it perfectly or if it was just destined to be. But
Ooh, it had to have been, no, if it came out that day, then you're timing it perfectly. You would have played it like 11 p.m. the night before. Because the games don't unlock at 6 o'clock. They unlock it.
Yeah, I don't know. Then it must have.
Usually.
No, I mean, I have the day. It came out the same day. I don't know.
Well, I'm saying, like, if you pre-order something, like, you can play it that night.
Maybe
like,
I had,
because most of the
maybe
games,
I had early access a couple of days early. I don't know.
No, I'm saying it came out that day. Like, if I bought a game that came out tomorrow, I'd be able to
Oh,
play it at 11
I see what you're
PM.
saying. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Today.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's
I know. I
tonight.
see what you're saying. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess technically it came out at the 11th.
God, you waited a whole, 18
I had to beat
hours into the day?
I had to beat Bloodborne,
God.
So I had to finish.
Fake ass
fan
fans
are
strike
you?
number 2.
I had to finish my.
This guy calls himself a gamer.
I had to finish my my stint with Bloodborne before I can move on to a new one. So coming directly off the high of completing Bloodborne and the release of the game, somewhat setting a deadline I had to keep, I guess, but maybe not because like Travis said, I missed 18 hours. So, but I had to let people
keep a deadline.
I had to let people figure out some of the secrets
play
for
the
me.
way you want to play.
But I started Dark Souls 3 and it was rumored the possible end of the series, so it was kind of a bittersweet moment because I had just gotten into this.
I mean, that's like a solid almost like 2 years of gaming for you that you did.
It was, but there had people that had been experiencing Dark Souls since Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1, and I felt like I had missed out on the main
late bloomer.
Yeah, and I just
but
get
you still had your
started,
time
and
with
then
it,
You got that FOMO.
and then they were like, no, Miyazaki said, no, sorry, this is the last one, and he later came back and said, it wasn't, Dark Souls 3 wasn't so much of as an ending point as a turning point of the series, and that kind of
so we're getting a Dark Souls 4.
no, what they've never said we weren't getting
Dark Souls 4
maybe they did, but so
Dark 4 Souls.
It being a bittersweet moment of it possibly being the last Dark Souls game, I was a little saddened, but the game well made up for that. It's fluidity, it's polish, it's detail. There's so many armors, there's so many weapons. You can do pyromancies, sorceries, like miracles that heal and also do damage in certain ways. There's so many ways to attack this game and attack every boss and situation. It really is probably next to Bloodborne. It's probably my favorite.
What's your best speed run time?
I don't do speedruns.
Why don't you do speedruns?
Because I'm not a speedrunner.
Well, you could be.
I guess.
You got to believe in yourself.
But
man.
I'm just. That's
I thought
just
you
not
loved
how
these games.
That's
Yeah,
just
really.
not my. That's just not my thing. Yeah, like that's what made the so many endings experience so fun. Is you could do it a different way every time. Every time you played the game, you could play it differently, and it be a new experience in almost every single way. So with 4 different endings and 2 DLCs coming in the future that I really didn't know about at that point, I was just finishing the game. But then DLCs came out the following year. I think one came out the same year, and then the next one was early the following year, or something close to that.
And the first one was more of like a PvP DLC, wasn't it?
Ashes of Ariandel.
Yeah.
No, there was a bunch of. It was a small DLC in my opinion. There was only like 2 or 3 bosses.
Mm.
No, there wasn't much really PvP to that one.
I don't know anything about these games, so I just thought I remembered that.
Yeah, how does the PvP
Well, the PvP
component in these games work?
It's kind of present in.
It's the whole invasion thing. So like, you
someone can join your
Yeah,
game.
it's signs and
help you
but you
out
can
or
also
fuck you
use like
over.
specific passwords that connect you instantly instead of having to like it be random. And Bloodborne started that. They had like an actual password system to make sure you were connecting to the right person.
Okay, so what? Yeah, so like Dark Souls 2 is just like you just got connected to someone random.
You could also do like there were ways to control it that are over my head.
But it wasn't as streamlined as Bloodborne was.
No, not at all.
Right.
No. Bloodborne, you could specifically partner with a specific person, but their PvP also wasn't as open. There were specific areas and cutoff points that seemed detrimental at certain times. Like you just couldn't summon in certain areas, or the battling PvP, like actual PvP, was only always on in 2 certain areas in the game, and everywhere else you had to like initiate it yourself. Like both people had to initiate it.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird.
So I couldn't start a Bloodborne game, summon you in,
Nope.
and then have you get me the platinum.
You had to do a specific thing to get a specific type of bell to summon, and it was PvP. It was player, like it was NPC related or boss progression related to where it unlocked.
Okay.
Like I think if you killed an NPC early, you got access to both type of bells very early on, but you lost that NPC's quest line. So
All I remember was Cleric Beast is not as hard as people say he is.
no, he's not.
Father Gascoigne is way harder than people say he is. And when I finally beat him, I decided I had beaten the game.
I mean,
I stopped playing after that.
they're both. I mean, they're both.
That was
very,
enough. That was enough of a success for me to be like, okay, cool, I accomplished
They
this.
both
thing.
can be
It's-
challenging if you don't know what to do.
No, I don't know what I'm doing when I play the Cleric Beast, and I just beat. I've never had a problem with that. I don't. People always say he's like so hard, and
Congrats, man. That's good. That's good stuff.
it's basic bitch shit. That
But
Cleric Beast.
Dark Souls 3, in my opinion, is probably the best Souls for new and returning players. And like I said, I didn't play Dark Souls 1 when it came out. I've only played the remaster, and I have not since yet beat it. Just other games have come out, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
Change your name to just Bjorn.
Bjorn.
You haven't heard
But
the
so
Souls yet.
that me not being a beginning fan or an original fan of Dark Souls 1 may lead to that decision of thinking that Dark Souls 3 is probably I love Bloodborne in my own specific personal way, but I think, like I said, that statement that it's the best
the community
for
at
new
large
players
seems
and
to
returning
believe
players.
that Bloodborne's the best, and that Dark Souls 1 is. I think I
got
always,
its
from what I
problems.
understood,
It's
was
got
it goes
it's like a
Bloodborne,
cult status thing.
Yeah,
Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2.
that's probably true for some people.
Scale.
Yeah.
Well, where would you put Sekiro on that list?
Me? Oh,
Bottom
Sekiro.
garbage.
I love Sekiro.
Absolutely.
It's Bloodborne, and then Sekiro and Dark Souls 3 probably fight it out. Honestly, there's so much good in Sekiro, especially now that I finished it. I just want to go back and finish the other 3 playthroughs that I have to do, and have no doubts that I'm going to get them because I've beaten almost every boss in that game.
Well, speaking of Sekiro, why don't you go ahead and like what's the difference between Sekiro and like the Souls games? Like, because I know like Souls games were all about like dodging and I guess getting around the enemy as well. Go ahead.
I'll get to Sekiro. It's my next one.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
but I just believe, like I said, I believe that Dark Souls 1 is the easiest and most accessible for returning and new fans. It's got so much variety and it's so polished, and it brings all the good stuff from the past ones, and it's can be the most accessible, but while still having challenges if you really want to have a challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving into Sekiro, it's the newest game in the Dark Souls, Soulsborne, whatever series, and I wrote this statement in a bit of passion after beating the game, and
in a fury, he wrote it down.
And
I would like to share the following statement.
So, and this is a statement I wrote. Like I believe I wrote it after it was the night I beat the game and got what is considered the most
sought after ending,
complicated ending.
Okay,
I don't know if
that's
you
a better
would
way
say
to put
sought
it.
after. There is a easy speed run ending that is, everybody's doing.
Everybody gets it.
That everybody is.
Right.
Well, not everybody. It's the smallest trophy, actually. It's got the smallest amount of percentage.
But so you do get a trophy for that one?
Mm-hmm.
I might get the game just so I can pop that trophy.
These fights
Say that I beat
these fights are hard.
From Software
These
game.
fights are hard.
Nah, they're probably all cleric beasties.
Okay, so while that new, fresh, blind experience is the initial draw of the game, that bewildered, fun feeling of dread and confusion at not knowing what to do next or where to go or how to progress that quest line or beat that boss, it eventually is replaced with a confidence and this all-knowing power that you kind of get replaced, that the enemy has in the beginning, that you kind of replace roles and you're kind of the enemy and they're just there to get beat up on because you know what to do. You've beaten every boss. Why should you be afraid or unconfident that you can't do it when you have done it? There's no reason to. So after you've done it once in a while and maybe multiple times, it turns into this like almost godlike ability where you're just like, I can't be beaten.
It's kind of like the way the guys that develop Doom
Yeah,
talk about that
Doom
game.
guy.
The whole thing is, the monsters are afraid of you. You're
Yeah,
the Doom Slayer.
They're
Like
not locked in here with me or what? I don't know the quote.
Rorschach.
Locked in here with
quote.
you. You're locked
You're locked in here with me.
Yeah.
I
love that movie.
It's a
It's a great
delightful knowledge.
It's a great book. Have you started reading it yet?
What?
Fuck,
The
no, I haven't
Rorschach-
actually.
There's
The
a Rorschach.
Watchmen.
Oh,
It's on my table, and I just keep forgetting to
Shame.
pick. I should have done that
Shame.
yesterday. 'Cause I was talking.
reviews
Well,
or something.
I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do last night because I got done editing and I was tired. I didn't want to focus on anything like as far as like working or doing a game or anything where I wanted to just zone out. I started watching that gaming documentary that Ethan talked about in Slack yesterday instead of I could have read Watchmen. That would have been fun. I had a few hours. Could have done that. Maybe I'll start tonight.
Like I said, the confidence, the power, this delightful knowledge of where everything is, how to do it. You know where every little secret item is. If you want to just sprint to this one thing that you really want and you want to spend the whole game with, you can kind of sequence break everything. Go grab that item and come back and just use that thing as, what you want to use it as.
It reminds me, like, going back to like what you were saying about replaying it, knowing the best way to get through things, almost having like that godlike ability and breaking off. I would do that in New Vegas a whole lot with starting a new game.
Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said earlier, the comments are like, you've beaten everything, so why should you be afraid of everything? You've died every single way. You've memorized every single, pattern of the bosses. You know what they've got. They don't know what you've got because you're a player. You're unpredictable. So it's really easy. That's why the no hit runs are attainable at a certain point in a skill and after many, many playthroughs because it's a game. There's a set.
There's only so many
That's what
set
I
things they
hadn't
can
been
do.
picking up on this whole
just
time.
a
It's just a
game.
game.
But
I'm trying to be the warrior of darkness here. I gotta train. I gotta train up.
That ability to do the game faster and faster, better, you know, it that's what leads to the speed running thing. And that's another topic for a different day because I'm not a speedrunner, but there's plenty of people that do it well and are there, and that's not me.
So before you go on to your next thing, the way you're saying it, it seems to me that there's a lot of games out there that like kind of fit into that scope. And I think it's
the Dark Souls scope or the Souls scope.
No, the idea of getting to the point where you've just like attained such a level of mastery that you can go through these sequences of the game that started difficult and now it's almost just like not going through the motions, but just that level of how long it takes you to get the skill to decide that you have a mastery over something.
Sure.
I think that's important to clarify just because there are not a lot of games that have attained that in this modern time. You think of games like older titles like the Mario games and stuff where you can go through and
I was thinking like every game
like a Super Mario or something
in the
like
90s.
Like I think that's important to consider that Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Sekiro are probably some of the most recent games with a gap between them to older titles that have been designed in a way that you can feel like you've attained that mastery. Like it's like watching the best speedruns are not the ones where someone's glitching out Grand Theft Auto 3 to trigger a mission at the right point and skip a bunch of shit. It's the ones where, you're going through and just you never miss a beat because there are systems in place that you've figured out. It's like being able to see the Matrix kind of thing.
If I can jump in really quick, it's like whenever I was watching like History of the Dark Souls or whatever, I think Miyazaki has said regarding people saying that, you know, the games are difficult, you know, or too hard or anything like that. Where it's like he believes that, you know, they're not necessarily hard or difficult. They're challenging to give you that sense of like you die and you go back and you learn and you evolve and then you get that sense of accomplishment and success when you finally get that thing, you know?
Yeah. He says it's a sense of accomplishment by overcoming tremendous odds.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't intend for the game to be more difficult than any other intentionally. Mm-hmm. He believed that accomplishing something that's challenging can lead the greatest reward. Yield the greatest reward.
Like you said, there are moments,
I really like that.
And I don't want to jump ahead too much because I know you'll get into Sekiro a bit more, but you even had a moment with that game where you came up to that wall where you were just like, maybe this is where I putting down the controller and this is just as far as I can get here. But if you pull a Goku and you just break that barrier and you go further beyond, then once it clicks, that's an immense amount of satisfaction. And then there are plenty of people that they say like these games aren't hard. It's not but it does take time for the click to come. And it may not everyone is going to. It won't click with everybody, but once it does, it is that moment where suddenly
to accept the click.
What was hard is now it's like, okay, well,
now it's fun.
I
love the click.
You
whenever
get
that
better
happens.
acclimated at picking up the patterns. You understand how your own movements work. It's a lot like a fighting game.
Yeah.
It's that difference between button mashing
knowing
and
every
playing with your
combo.
friends and stuff, and then being able to play at like a professional level and like read the moves between frames and shit like that. Like and
Sekiro lets you focus more on that, like more on the boss's patterns, more on the enemy's AI and what they're going to do because you only have one weapon
that's what's drawn me the most to that is the idea that you're not fucking around with like min-maxing skills and abilities.
You have multiple tools at your disposal, little items that you can use in the middle of the fight to make it less challenging or to give you that edge, but you only have your sword. Mm-hmm. And so that leads you to more focus on the experience, the pattern, and that ultimately is what will let you get through the rest of the game. And unlike the other games where you can just gear your fucking guy up to be a tank and just kill everything or a glass cannon,
So for future From Software games, do you see them sticking to that path like with Elden Ring or anything afterwards? Or do you think it's going to dive more into
They've actually mentioned
like a Dark Souls?
There's an interview with Miyazaki and I can't remember who it was. It looks like it was like an Xbox interview with him and they talked a lot about him and George R.R. Martin and where they thought Elden Ring was going to go, and he mentioned, it's an open world game. So think Breath of the Wild, think The Witcher 3.
Okay, that's better.
It's got
Breath of the Wild.
It's a huge, much more focus on RPG elements. So even more so than the Dark Souls aspect. So I don't really know how much more they mean, but there's going to be a lot more emphasis on stats and stuff. Yeah. But there's also customer characterization, a huge in-depth one.
Nice.
So, you're
Character customizations.
Yes. What did I say?
Customer characterizations.
Wow. That's a good one. That's one to write.
You design your own NPCs.
So with the Elden Ring, like, I guess, deeper story, do you think in more RPG elements, do you think we might get like dialogue trees or anything like that?
I don't know so much about that, but it's definitely possible considering
that seems less common in Japanese RPGs, though.
Yeah, you're right.
It's really more of a Western RPG.
They're definitely there to tell you a specific story, but
not to let you choose.
We do have, George R. R. Martin with it, he did a lot of this, the groundwork, a lot of the foundation for this lore and story, and Miyazaki has mentioned that, even before they did Elden Ring, George R. R. Martin's earlier work was a huge influence on Miyazaki's early work.
Will I be able to make a character that doesn't look like a monstrosity?
People only make them look like a monstrosity because they like that.
That's not true. I have tried to make a decent looking person.
I love the Dark Souls every games. Single character that I have made in Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3.
Models really bad.
They look really good.
They're pretty bad.
I have like 2 in Dark Souls 2 that I think look okay, but it's not great. Yeah, but 3 in Bloodborne
your best compliment about your own characters is just okay. Yeah,
I want to play Elden Ring
Dark Souls 2,
with a character that looks like Kate Beckinsale from the Underworld.
I
movies.
bet you could do that.
That's what I want.
Think I think it's gonna be that in depth. Yeah, but so I do want to actually talk a little bit about Miyazaki and focus on the man that started it all. He was not always, the great Miyazaki-san, as people say. He was originally just a game designer that was hired From Software in 2004.
Didn't he work for like an insurance company?
He was like an accountant, I think.
Yeah, like he had his job is like entirely outside of video games.
Yeah, he has like a degree in social science, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't remember where I heard that. I don't remember what video it was. But
when he first started out, he was like 29 trying to apply it at places, and not really many people were hiring. And one of the few places that was From Software, and he took a chance and he started working on.
Well, they took a chance on him because he started out at that company as like a director of a game, right? Like
no, he wasn't a director right off the bat.
He's not a programmer. He doesn't have.
He was a game designer. He was a designer.
Okay, yeah.
He did start like on some of the lesser roles, but it does mention that he was directing his first couple of. I guess he was doing directing work on the first couple of Armored Cores that he was brought on to.
Yeah.
And this was in 2004. But then after a couple of years, he was made like director for Armored Core Last Raven in 2004.
That is a series I would love to get back into because I remember having such fun with it as a kid.
And then he did, after that, it was Armored Core 4. And then they did a subsequent sequel for Armored Core, and it was called 4 Answers.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't that the one? Was that the Xbox 360 port of 4, or was it a sequel to 4?
It was a sequel to 4.
Okay.
Yeah, he was lead director. And
I might be thinking of Mech Warrior. Mech Warrior is the Xbox series.
Yeah, that's the Xbox one. I think Mech Warrior had that giant, ridiculous controller that you could get. It had like over 100 buttons on it or something like that.
But after his success, he was kind of widely known as a great game director and designer, and he had a lot of good ideas. And in 2009, he became internationally renowned as a genius for Demon Souls.
Yeah, I think part of that, I don't like to be too cynical with this kind of thing, but I'm sure from a high level, the people at Namco Bandai, did they publish Armored Core as well, or was it just like Dark Souls?
I didn't really notice that actually. I'm not sure. But they From Software and Bandai Namco have worked very closely for a while.
Yeah.
So
I want to say that they did. Trying to remember, thinking back on the old Armored Core boxes, I want to say I remember.
But I think from a higher level, you can kind of look at it and be like, these games, they're not stripped back, but like they provide so much as far as the gameplay and the design and stuff without having to rely on, every 2 hours of gameplay, you've got like a super expensive 15 to 30 minute long cutscene. Like it's like the comparison between those games and then like say a Metal Gear Solid.
Very few cutscenes.
Where it's like they can make these games that are world renowned surely sell quite well on a lower budget than a lot of what you would consider AAA games. But I would look at a Dark Souls and still say this is a AAA game franchise. But I'm betting if you looked at the numbers that their budgets are quite a bit lower because they're able to like cut out the fat. Like you don't have these huge cinematic cutscenes all the time. You don't have
probably
a bunch
save
of
a lot of money.
Voice acted storytelling. Like obviously there's voice acting in these games, but it's not to the extent of having to have like full motion video capture and stuff. And
the NPCs
capture.
had small tidbits of dialogue.
Yeah, it's like
that's about it.
They'll say like 1 or 2 lines
just
maybe.
to progress you slightly.
Yeah, but not you don't have like a 10-minute talking cutscene.
No,
of
you have
characters
basically
and,
one cutscene that's
like your modern RPGs.
going to be in the beginning of the
Final
game.
Fantasy-esque.
It's going to set your base for the world, and that's about it. And then the rest of them are just your boss intros, which are just cool little. Rawr.
Yeah, but I think it probably can't be understated that I bet he's making a lot of money for the right people that are publishing these games, and especially when you look at something like Activision being the publisher for Sekiro. Activision does not publish games like that. So
no, you're correct, and I think that was like an absolute win for them.
Yeah, we want a From Software game this fall. Like that's something where clearly somebody
made the right decision in saying something
think
to
of these
someone.
Companies like EA and Activision
stand back a little.
Yeah, you think of these guys like, where's our Call of Duty coming out? Where's our sports game? Like that kind of thing. For someone up there to pull the right strings to get the next From Software game under their banner, that's a cool discussion to have had. And I guarantee you it's because they're looking at this and thinking, okay, we're going to be able to turn a profit on this no matter what, because this guy is a world-renowned game designer and creator now. And it's not going to cost us an arm and a leg. We're not going to get into a Hideo Kojima thing with Konami where it's like, dude, you've spent $50 million already. We have to put something out.
It was, I mean, whether or not it's received well by critics or got great reviews, which it does. I mean,
they all generally do, don't they?
Yeah.
I think Dark Souls 2 was probably, if I had to guess, was probably the lower rated one. And even then, I'm sure it was.
It actually sold.
What's the Metacritic? Did you play a 7 out of 10?
I don't know.
Did you play a 7, Ethan? Just because it said Dark Souls?
But Sekiro, the community, the Dark Souls community loves Sekiro. It's what they wanted. It's some of the people jumped it up to their favorite.
Yeah, when you heard Dark Souls people and people that beat Bloodborne say, "Oh, Sekiro's really hard," that's not a bad thing from them. They're like, "Fuck yeah, Sekiro's really hard. Let's get into here."
It's great. It's awesome to play. It's fun. It's like I said, I have 3 more playthroughs, 3 more endings I have to get, and I'm excited for each one of them.
Are those like full playthroughs? They're not like the shorter ones that you can mainline to.
There's
like how many hours are you talking between each of these to get each ending?
I mean,
without the saves coming, because
I can't. I messed it up. I tried and I fucked up because I have PlayStation, so it's
you gotta hit like 5
I have
buttons.
auto
And you gotta do the
enabled,
cloud.
so I think that
you gotta whip out
automatically
the flash drive and do like a local backup.
What is this?
And there's a lot of games where it's like you can't. Like I'm assuming you can't pick a save slot for Sekiro. Like you start your game.
You have
and
to
it's
turn
just
auto
a
save
slot.
off,
Yeah,
and then it gives you multiple options. Otherwise, you just have the one, and it's the last auto save.
Exactly. Yeah. So he probably just didn't have the option of like, okay, I'm going to make a secondary save here and then play to this point, pop the ending, and then start back from the second.
Basically, it starts
typical
you,
RPG shit.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a last choice at the end of the game that leads you into which ending you get for certain ones.
Right.
Minus like one.
So you would like save there before you decided to go.
It would. Well, so technically, it would. I guess, somewhat like auto save you loading into this area.
Yeah.
Before
What a lot of
the
people,
boss fight.
What a lot of people do to get around the auto sync is instead of using the cloud syncing, they'll get like a flash drive and copy it over to the flash drive.
Or you
like
can also
make
do it by saving it
duplicates.
directly to the hard drive, I think, or something like that.
Possibly, yeah.
And then you would beat the boss, get that one ending, and then start that before the boss battle.
Yeah, and then go choose which one you want.
the other
to
one,
yeah.
and then you do that a couple times.
Kind of reminds me of just like, again, like Travis said with like older RPGs, you know, you get through like the intro stuff and then you make a save and then you can always go back to that
that's some
one
visual
save.
novel shit too. When I did the Steins Gate visual novel,
Yeah.
that's one that's got like 20 different endings or some
Christ.
shit depending on different choices you make.
Yeah.
I save scummed the fuck out of that for that platinum. I'm reading a guide. It's like, hey, save right before this conversation and make 2 duplicates and then go back and restart from this. And I'm all about the trophies. I'll do anything.
Yep.
But for Demon Souls and Dark Souls, I would really actually like to go back and do a playthrough of those, finish my remastered playthrough, and then come back and, have more in-depth looks on this, because those are the original games that started it all. Demon Souls has some really cool and interesting mechanics with its like light and dark. What's
I got to lend you my PS3 someday so you can sit down with Demon Souls.
Yeah.
Has there not been like a PS4 remaster for it?
Nope, they haven't remastered
They
it.
just remastered the first one. They just got around to that. Miyazaki had heavy influences from like D&D, Steve Jackson's Sorcery. If you've ever seen that. The original Legends of Zelda, like I said, H.P. Lovecraft, Dragon Quest. He loves Dragon Quest. Bram Stoker, who did Dracula, the early Dracula and stuff like that. And like I said, he loved George R. R. Martin even before he was doing,
before the TV show blew up.
Yeah, before
they started Elden
when
Ring.
it was just a Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
And then it brings me to the quote that like Drew mentioned. He never intended for it to be really hard. He just thought people would enjoy accomplishing something challenging, which I think we can all agree.
I think I really
merits.
like that ideology.
Yeah, sure. I think that
Well, it's funny because like 20 years ago that was not unheard of. Like games used to be hard as fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
You made them hard because it's like in that documentary we watched. We wanted you pumping in more quarters. We wanted you dead within 30 minutes because we want you to. But we want you to have enough fun in that time that you don't mind coming back.
But it probably has a lot to do with he grew up kind of poor and underprivileged, and he had to work hard to get where he was. So there's probably a lot of themes with that reflect his own personal life.
Are you telling me that Dark Souls is autobiographical?
No, I'm not saying that. But people take influences from their lives, from their past, and he probably took him working hard to achieve something great. He probably got a lot of pride from that, and he wanted to share and have other people experience that pride, which I can respect.
Yeah, dude, I really like that.
Yeah, but I just want to have some honorable mentions for some Souls type games, and some people want to play some Souls games that aren't necessarily actual Souls games.
Speaking of, I know this might be in your list. Did you ever play Salt and Sanctuary?
Oh, that's on my list.
That is, I
of
knew
course
it.
That's on my list. That's a great game.
Did you beat it?
No, I have not beat it. That game is really long.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of interesting like I don't know if you call them like alliances or you pick like a deity and it kind of reflects something in the story. I don't know. But it's really. There's a lot of
get that platinum
depth to that game. But Salt and Sanctuary, definitely one of them. It's got a cool aesthetic. The
What's
grays
the gameplay style?
and the whites. It's like a Metroid kind of
Metroidvania plus Soulsborne.
Plus Souls, you collect salt instead of souls, and you die and come back, and you have like
I like
health items.
That's every you could tell a Dark Souls game is a Dark Souls game because what's our bonfire? Oh, we call this one a park bench.
Park bench.
Every park bench you find you collect. You gotta wipe off the park bench, and then you can sit on it, and now you can use that forever.
Another good one, Hollow Knight. I love Hollow Knight.
I'm so excited to finally start that because that's on Game Pass for PC,
and
so I have that downloaded.
They have a sequel coming out, Silk Song,
yeah,
where you get to play as a girl character that's from Hollow Knight. I think her name is just Silk, not sure, but she has like a
that's
needle.
A cute name. I like that.
She has a needle instead of like a nail, and she's nimble and quick.
Stick 'em with the pointy end.
And she's
I got real far that
character.
I bought it both on PC.
Did you get far in that?
Yeah,
I haven't played much of it, so you've probably gotten farther than me.
I bought it on PC, but I didn't really play it till Switch. That was just one of those good Switch games that I love to pick up on the go.
Yeah,
and I did get a decent way through it, but yeah, it's one that I've just been meaning to want to sit down and actually play all the way through.
What was the game that we saw at E3 that I mentioned? I think it was Ori, Will of the Wisp.
Yeah.
Is that what that was? So I thought that Ori looked like Hollow Knight with just splashes of color.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight,
get that.
it's very segmented color. You get to a new area. It's got a new kind of...
It's mainly black and white.
Yeah, but it's mainly dark in colors. But Ori looked like it just had Bob Ross was just throwing color in there.
Dude, yeah,
great.
it's going to look
I'm excited for that. I hope it's kind of a similar Souls.
We got to find a cheap Xbox One S to get you one day just so you can have that to pick up.
No, we could do that for stream one day because I got Ori downloaded here. You can come over and try it out. We can do that for stream.
Another couple of them. Neo, it was kind of the pre-Sekiro. Not really, but it had its moments.
I told you I got into the alpha for that, booted it up.
The second one, right?
Neo 2,
yeah,
right,
by the time remember, I beat the alpha. Remember? The first time we had that beta?
Yeah.
I beat the hell out of it like 2 times. No, I'm terrible at these games. I played just the tutorial for Neo 2, and even that was difficult. And I was like, okay, never mind. I'm still not able to do this.
The problem with Neo 2, I played Neo 2, and it just felt like Neo 1.5.
Yeah.
It had a couple of new things where I was like, oh, that's cool.
And if the first one didn't hook you long enough to beat it, then this one...
First one was hard.
Not.
I got
Who
to
was the developer in Neo?
Bandai Namco, I think. I don't know if that was
I don't know if that was an internal development.
I'd have to look, but anyway, Neo's one of them. Neo 2 is coming out if you like that. It's got its following. There is one I want to mention, but I never played that I don't really. The Surge. Some people like that. Some people don't.
The Surge always looked really cool to me. That was one too when I was going through my PS Plus games. I went ahead and re-downloaded that because I from what I understand, it has similar Souls mechanics.
Yeah,
but it's not quite as
you come back.
like it's not as hard from what I understand. Like it's something about the game design. Apparently, it's a bit more forgiving. And then of course I like the idea of like more of the robot style and like building parts onto yourself and that kind of customization versus like the knights and
armor,
demons
sword,
and stuff
shield,
like that part never really grabs me quite as much. It's like why I
that's
like
my favorite. It's
didn't
my
like
bread and
Skyrim
butter.
as much as like a Fallout. Like so it's more my speed. But the Surge I do want to give a try. And I kind of hope that might be one where if I get into that, then that would give me more confidence to like actually try to sit through like a Bloodborne playthrough or something.
They do have a Surge 2 coming out.
Yeah,
so,
that's coming out soon.
I mean, honestly, that's about it for me.
Dead Cells is kind of another one.
Dead Cells, yeah, that was kind of, they had a special, I think that one was a little bit more of its own kind of thing where they took the Dark Souls idea and ran with it and made
Because
it
Dead
their
Cells
own kind of.
integrates more of the roguelike stuff, right?
Yes.
Like you,
Okay.
So when you die, it's not like you lose. Like it's actually the opposite,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like I think you carry some things forward, but it is I think as far as the
Shovel Knight.
these days, every time something's a
Never
little
did play Shovel
difficult, someone
Knight.
I
says
think
it's like a
Shovel
Souls
Knight
game.
I think that's considered a Souls game. I'm not sure.
No,
I haven't played.
That's just like a platformer. That's a.
But don't you
8-bit.
die and come back and get your stuff?
I think there's more to what makes a Souls game a Souls like than just that. That's why I was saying. Like I feel like if it's a little hard, it's the fucking Dark Souls of puzzle games.
Easy
and
there,
then,
Cliff.
Yeah,
Tetris 99 is the Dark Souls of Tetris.
it's like PUBG plus Dark Souls.
Well, that's it for my Dark Souls stuff, man. I mean, I could go on and on, but I we got one episode at a time.
Yeah. I actually kind of wanted to talk a little bit because I would have mentioned it before the documentary we watched yesterday.
Oh yeah, great stuff.
We watched Game Changers. I believe it's called The History of the Console Wars, or
Something
if you look
like
Game
that.
Changers 2019 up online, you'll see it. It was on the History Channel. I'm sure it'll be like streaming on Hulu or something pretty soon. But that was a really, really great documentary. I was a little skeptical going into it and realized I was totally enthralled the whole way through.
Not necessarily for a younger audience. Maybe
well,
a
it
little.
depends. Like history is boring to me until it's something
Real
that I'm
care about.
No, not even real. Most history's real. That's where we got it from. It happened.
Well, history can be censored, is what I meant.
Oh, okay. No, I just mean like it. Like I don't like memorizing dates and stuff. I don't really care about what was happening in Europe in the 1100s. I care about, places in the time that have already gripped me. Like I always really was fascinated by like ancient Egyptian culture. And of course all three of us, I could probably say that we all love Japan. Like that's the different eras and stuff and the way that country was back then has always been interesting to me. And video games, of course, is something that we all love. So I think even if you're someone younger who enjoys video games, I think you could sit down and watch this. And I was talking about this with my mom not long ago because she kind of jokes about how, or I've joked with her that she's as much of a gamer as I am, because if she sits down every day on her tablet and plays the little brick breaker game and talks about how her favorite game to this day is Pong, I'm like, that's still a game and they're classics for a reason. And this documentary was really cool about that because it talks about the history of the Atari console and them making Pong and the whole beginnings of that company and its downfall and almost the whole death of this industry that we love so much, and how it was brought back by Nintendo single-handedly, essentially, and the introduction of Sega and Sony and all of this. And it was really cool. I think it was a super fun documentary. It was
really
2
cool.
hours with commercials, so I imagine it's actually like 9
an
hours.
hour
You said it was on the
and a half
History
or something,
Channel?
yeah.
Yeah, it was on the History Channel. It just premiered yesterday.
Okay.
Which
I
was
did not realize
the
that.
16th. Yeah, because when you said, "Hey, watch this thing," I'm
thought
looking
it
it up.
was-
I'm like, "It's not on Netflix. It's not on Amazon. Where is Ethan watching
I thought
this?"
I thought it had been going on for years.
It didn't even have an IMDb page. So I'm like, "What the
Ethan
fuck
stumbled
is
upon
this?
something
Wow,
new
that's
without
What
even realizing what it
jank-ass
was.
shit did
That
Ethan
is-
stumble on?" I'm like looking on
for
YouTube.
once, cable
and-
TV.
Yeah, finally found a trailer for it saying it was on History Channel, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like
That's
I
nuts.
had to sub to the Hulu live TV just to watch this because like my DirecTV shit out last night because of the thunderstorms and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, that sucks.
So I was like, "But this sounds so good." I watched the trailer. I was like, "I need to watch this tonight." So I had to sub to that live TV thing to get the cloud DVR. And long story short, absolutely worth all the hassle. I went
good.
through last
I'm
night to
glad.
watch it, and it got me on a nice little documentary kick. I watched Grounded, which is the documentary for The Last of Us.
I need to watch that.
That's on the PlayStation YouTube channel. That was really good.
You guys ever watch Documentary Now?
Yes, I
Yeah.
love it.
Those are funny.
Yeah, that's a fun show.
great stuff. John Mulaney, he's a character.
A little further back, I watched. I think you might have watched this one too. Raising Kratos.
I haven't watched it yet, but
the
I've
God
been
of War
meaning to.
4 documentary.
I've seen
That
it.
one's incredible.
Yeah.
That's really, really good. It's all the background like of Santa Monica Studios and what was going on with them at the time. Because
Pretty sure I have seen that.
that's another story of a studio where, like, in an alternate timeline, that studio's closed today because they had a big project of theirs canceled fairly far into development. And like, if God of War 4 hadn't gone well, that was it. They would have been
Hail Mary.
Sony is not afraid to close down studios that are losing them money, as we've seen from like Evolution and other studios in the past. But
Another one, this is maybe came out a couple of years ago, but a YouTuber named Gaming Historian does an absolutely wonderful documentary on Tetris, which is like one of my favorite games of all time. And just the story and struggle behind that game is absolutely awe-inspiring. So definitely go check that out.
yeah, and Tetris, that's another one of those, like, it will always be a good game. Like when you have an idea like that, and there's a reason Tetris 99 came out this year, and
Most
it was like the
people blowing
hottest
people
fucking
away.
title
know how
for
to
a
use
month.
the straight block. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I'm bad at Tetris. It took me a long time to realize that, like, yeah, you should save the straight block and stuff, but just the idea of even like saving blocks and stuff, I don't even know what button you push to press that. And Tetris is not a complicated game as far as what buttons do what. I've always been really bad at that game, but it's still fun to pop in every once in a while and play it.
And even now with like Tetris Effect, and they added the VR function.
That was on sale for Days of Play, and I was very close to buying it.
Should get it, man. It's wonderful.
I will at some point. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm sure it's great and fun in VR and stuff, but I suck ass at Tetris. But there was actually
even just on your OLED, just playing it without VR.
I want to play it in VR though.
Oh, man.
Everyone has that's what I was going to say. Actually, there's this guy. I can't remember if he was a developer for Tetris, or I think he was like a world champion of Tetris in like 10, 15 years ago or something like that. I can't remember how long ago, but I saw a video of him being shown the new Tetris Effect, and he played it first for like a few rounds or whatever
this video too.
on the TV. Yeah. And then they had him put on the VR headset, and this is already someone who's like
he's a pro fucking player.
Yeah. He's top tier as far as his play. And him playing in the VR headset, like suddenly he got even better. Like that's
really,
because you just get so immersed in it. It's one of the miracles of VR where you really do cut out all the extra information and sensory that you're getting. And like we talk about like video games being immersive or whatever, like it's VR is truly immersive. And like watching him get like, you're already watching someone who's like better than we'll ever be at this thing.
Yeah, because in this Tetris,
somehow like level up and get even better just by putting this headset on. It was fascinating to watch.
See, whenever I was playing in VR, I found it a little distracting, but it's also been a few months since I played it. So I might, that's a really interesting way to look at it. Yeah. So I might go back and look at it and try it again.
Yeah. But it also, I mean, it could be more distracting for you, but this is somebody who,
pro player.
Yeah, exactly. Blood. Like it's second nature to them, way that movements are and stuff. Yeah, I'm sure that some of the visual flair and maybe even the music, and because a lot of those modes, from what I understand, is Tetris Effect will actually speed up and slow down depending on the music and how difficult you're going. So like, if you're someone who gets tripped up easily when the speed goes up and you're not expected to get to, I can imagine it being like kind of
it's 100%
sensory overload versus sensory removal.
100%. So anybody else got anything else to say?
I want a fucking cocktail, man. I'm so looking forward to go to Anvil after this. Where's Caitlin after? Actually,
she's outside. Actually,
what? Did you just leave her outside?
She just pulled up.
Oh, she just
okay. God, Ethan. Jesus Christ.
It's like 98 degrees outside.
Yeah. She's in a.
You probably text her. Turn off the AC. Don't burn up all the AC.
She's in a car. She's
gonna be fine. Okay.
Yeah. So
we can go ahead and wrap this one up. Okay. This is a short episode today, but it was.
What are we at?
It was a short news week. Hour 28.
That's not bad.
So but that's also with our pre-show.
It'll probably be like an hour 15.
Which I'll be cutting out. Yeah. I'm going to get down to 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Just clean cut.
Yeah, just get rid of all the Dark Souls talk and just a bit of news.
What do you think we have on next week? Who wants what do you think?
Depends on the way the news goes.
I have a topic for next week, but again, just the way the news goes. So we'll bring it up in the game notes.
Hopefully we'll hear from Andrew next week.
Yeah. And also before too long, I don't want to do it right away because we still got some heavy hitters coming out, but I do like the idea of having an 8th generation retrospective, kind of similar to our gaming history, except, well, we got most of your 8th generation, which the whole Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Sekiro, that took up a big chunk of yours.
In 2017, I was just doing this.
Yeah, you got the PS4 a little late.
The trophies to prove it.
But yeah, I would definitely like to do like a longer retrospective and talk a lot about the generation and how weird it was in some respects. Rest in peace, Wii U.
Yeah,
I could do a whole
definitely do
nother
that.
episode on Dark Souls, each one if I had to. So maybe we'll come back, do some more
Maybe
Dark
we
Souls.
will. Maybe we will
when you
revisit.
finally,
You know what?
maybe
We
when you
will.
finally beat Dark Souls 1, we can go back and talk about it.
Yeah,
Exactly,
I
yeah.
probably will. And like I said, I wanted to do more on Demon Souls too, because that's a kooky one.
Demon Souls would be a really fun one to play over here and
Yeah.
capture and
That would be fun, yeah.
Get your commentary on
world
it.
tendency is the mechanic I was
Yeah.
thinking of. Yeah.
Actually, dude, I might do that next week. I might just bring the PS3 up here because I really don't use it a whole
No,
lot.
it's just
We could
collecting
leave it
dust
here,
over
yeah.
there.
That'd be it. Just put it next to the PS4, and
That'd be cool.
there's plenty of kind of some stuff some lost gems from the previous generation.
Yeah,
that-
we could totally do it. And then like once we get like figured out how to get the mics, just
Next week,
stream and everything.
PS3
That part's super
retrospective.
easy because
Okay.
again, one of the things that's cool about this setup is that the computer just sees the mixer as your microphone. So anything that takes a line in or a commentary recording or anything,
It's gonna
put it right on top of that and
Nice.
record through here while we're playing. Yeah, I think Demon Souls, that would be definitely fun to play. And just from the perspective of, there's not a whole lot of really high quality captures of older games because it wasn't until this generation where people really started getting like the HD capture cards
Just
and
walkthroughs.
it's kind of uncommon, for people to do anything other than, here's how you beat this boss or here's this trophy thing. But
Yeah.
And there's
Some
a
of
lot of
some of it's old
Like I said,
YouTube.
there's a lot of weird stuff with the world tendency that kind of makes that game kooky.
A
yeah.
little unique.
Well, fellas, I guess that
You got
will
anything
do
to
it.
plug, Travis?
This week, I want to plug
Hopefully.
Jimmy John's. I want you guys to go get that damn pickle. It's delicious. I love the big Italian. If you're super hungry, get that gargantuan.
Gargantuan.
That is a dense
JJ
sandwich. When you lift
gargantuan.
that up, you need two hands. It's packed. Yeah, get the pickle. Tell them Travis sent you. They're not going to know who I am.
Definitely.
True.
All right.
They'll give you the pickle if you pay for
True.
it.
What about you?
Nothing much. You can follow Absent Minded Pod on Instagram, and you can also follow Andrew Loves Video Games on Instagram. Here in like the next couple days, couple weeks, I'm going to be more active, posting videos, stories, all that stuff. So stay tuned. And
Can we get a selfie?
Sure, maybe
Awesome.
if I feel like it.
You can
No,
follow
I want-
me on Twitter, Soulsbjorn, and that's with a J. And then also on my Twitch, which hopefully maybe I'll do some Bloodborne. I have a couple playthroughs I've been having in the back works that I could start streaming.
Dude, you
come
need to stream
down,
your
and then we could do it
platinums
here
for
as well.
free. Get
That's
Dark
true.
Souls 3 platinum, man.
I could do that. I'd have to reinstall that game because
You know,
it's just
you
not
totally
on my
Stop
list right now.
uninstalling games. You have so much space.
I
You
have
don't
that
need to
much space.
uninstall it.
That's nice. Also, the Absent Minded. What's our Facebook? Absent. Is it just Absent Minded
You'd have to
Facebook?
ask the girl that's
or
sitting
is
in the
it
car outside.
Absent
Ask your
Minded
girlfriend.
podcast? One of those. Anyways, we should have that a little more up and fully functional.
We'll
soon.
probably have everything just absent-minded pod. That way
Yeah.
we can do that sweet thing they do with the banner. Where
And
it's like, here's a
hopefully-
logo for all these services. It's all at the same
Hopefully,
spot.
pretty soon, I want to plug the Absent Minded podcast, literally. And you can find us on most popular
Any place you
platforms.
catch podcasts.
We're on iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, and a bunch of others I've never heard of before.
Yeah, but and
you
then we
look,
also
you'll
have
find us.
we'll also have a main page on, I believe it's Triumph, and it's like .absentminded FM, something like that. Well, we'll have the real thing for you, but they
Are you
give
talking
you-
about Anchor?
Anchor. I'm
Anchor,
sorry.
yeah,
I do.
Anchor.fm.
Wow, I'm sorry.
Absent.
It'll also be easy to find us through Notify Me. I know a lot of people are.
I don't know what that is.
This is a new service that started just recently, but essentially it's a platform where we can connect all of our accounts between YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. And then you just
Hashtag not
have
an
a
ad.
single spot that you're able to get a
sponsored.
notification from anytime we happen to go live on any of those various services. That'll probably start rolling out and getting more popular as it goes. I know a lot of content providers out there have started using that platform as well. It looks like it's going to be pretty helpful to keep everything in one place all nice and tidy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
Sounds good,
guys. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us this week. Hope you all stay well, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Good app, guys. Good app.